Hi. My project was to produce a written proposal for further funding for my research unit. It was prepared by early summer 2017 and submitted to the Research Council for consideration. The potential impact of this project is the winning of research funding for the university and the opportunity for Nottingham to participate in the key public engagement moment of the centenary of the 1918 First World War armistice. And that's all in keeping with the strategic 2020 aims of world-changing research and partnerships for growth. However, the practical impact of the project was and remains my personal development in this area. This is, I hope, not the last bid project I will ever deliver, nor again, in hope, will it be the most difficult, challenging or important bid that I work on. My goal was to use this project to learn more about myself and to improve my performance. My approach. I tend to see the world in terms of skills and think that most things can be learned. There are, of course, limits and exceptions. I'm never going to win Olympic gold in a 100-metre sprint, but I do think a lot of human activities can be seen in terms of skill. This is not limited to work activities either. You know that friend who's a great conversationalist, able to charm the hind legs off a donkey. Well, that's a skill. And some personalities might find the particular skills easier than others. Some people feel naturally more chatty, some people a little bit more reserved, but people can still learn the skill to have good conversations. And the material factor is skill, and it can be learned. With this in mind, I wanted to pick a project that reflected a critical skill that would offer me a lasting benefit in my career. When looking through my options, I remember an aside that my line manager once made about another researcher at a different institution. He said he was good at writing funding bids. And this struck me at the time as being a great example of a skill, and the bid writing was a particularly useful one to focus on. Why useful? Well, it's an activity that most researchers have to engage in. It has a clear value, and in doing so adds value to any researcher that can do it well. And crucially, it's considered dull, unpleasant, and something of a necessary evil. Bids, they're the horrid little tasks that have to be gotten out of the way before the researcher can concentrate on the fun stuff like teaching and research and everything else that they pursued an academic career to actually do. For this reason, a lot of researchers hate writing bid applications, and I'm willing to bet that many of them don't see them as a particular skill or as something that can be learned and improved. There are, of course, workshops and boot camp sessions where bid writing is developed, but I keep coming back to that one observation, that a long experienced researcher can regard another one as being particularly good at it. My thinking is that if I can learn to write really effective and successful bids, I'll have a genuinely valuable and marketable skill that will enhance my employability and overall career prospects. So where does leadership fit in? Well, the obvious place is that by making successful bids, I'll be able to develop a career in a leadership role, as the lead for a research group or unit, for example. But even at this stage in my career, leadership is a key component of the bid writing process. My example bid, like so many others, is a collaborative one, drawing in several stakeholders from a variety of institutions, not all of them universities. Many of these are particular experts in their given field, have their own research goals and competing interest demands on their time. Looking beyond the academy, there's an increasing demand to work with community partners or outside institutions, which in history means museums or archives or records office or other sort of heritage organisations. So, managing these disparate interests while aiming to achieve a shared goal is a task of leadership. Writing bids means more than composing words. It means leading people and using those attributes outlined in the leadership themes: diplomacy, networking, strategy, motive. What did I do? Well, I began by assembling the information that I could identify on my own: the data, the evidence, the materials, all the known knowns such as timescales, fixed costs and core criteria. It was then that I initiated discussions with the relevant stakeholders, outlining the task as I saw it, asking for their contributions and listening carefully to their ideas. My challenge here was one of motivation. We've just completed the bid process, and not necessarily to our advantage, and the stakeholders were fatigued by the process. I was fatigued by the process too. Some of our partners had less to gain from the bid than others. For some of them, they'd already secured funding for the next few years, and this would have just added to it. They could have rested easy. For these, I had to communicate the benefits and make the case. I combined all this information into a draft document which followed the format as set up by the Research Council. I shared it with the group then for critique. It wasn't all that good. The problem here was my expression. I hadn't made the proposal clear enough. To an outside reader, it wouldn't be immediately obvious what we were trying to do or how we were planning to do it. I'd fallen into the trap of becoming too focused on it. I knew what I was trying to say. I knew it a little too well, and my brain was filling in the bits that I'd already missed. I was brought up on some part that I found was very useful. My cherished ideas were being destroyed in front of me. But I had to change it. The overall goal was what mattered. Making a successful bid was what mattered, not the things that I necessarily thought were useful or interesting. So I left the text for a while and deliberately forgot about it so that I could return to it with fresh eyes. I redrafted it once, twice, a third time. This is copy number 5, and it's still not finished. So where next? Well, the bid is still in development. We are in summer 2017 and we haven't yet reached the stage where the Research Council is ready to accept the bid from us. Much of where it is now is currently out of my hands. It's dependent on external factors such as the demands of the Research Council, demands on the time of the stakeholders, and further. I do hope to have news on it soon. However, in terms of the development of the skill, it's been excellent. Seeking the input of researchers, particularly on work that I instigated, was something out of my comfort zone. But you know what? I survived. Redrafting was a pain, but the work got better. What's been of greatest use to me in this project is the work I did in the coaching sessions. The experience of being prompted to explain my work to people from other work backgrounds, to defend my point and to express myself fully was really helpful. Most of all, however, it was a self-reflection that it prompted, the reframing of questions in order to get more useful answers, the questioning of my assumptions about myself and the way I present myself to the world, of communication, and it all helped. Thank you for listening.